What's good, boys? Today we're reacting to how to beat the evil teddy bear in Imaginary. I saw the trailer for this shit. Dumb as fuck. Bro, y'all should have, this should have been created a long time ago, bro. But probably would have been dog shit, so. Yeah, but let's get to the vid, though. I had a vid prior too, but a copyright claim is blocked everywhere, so I can't even react to it. Kind of sucks, but, you know, it's what it is to a certain degree. But damn, though, bro, fucking copyright, bro. Fucking hell. Hold on. I don't know who the fuck Skilla Baby is, bro. Bro, since 8 months ago. I fucking hate this cat so goddamn much, bro. This little bastard's annoying. Fuck, man. To think I had a goddamn video but I can't post this shit, bro. Dumb as fuck, man. Like, actually, bro. Dumb as fuck. Hold on. That's myself this shit. Now fucking. Oh my fucking god, bro. No one posts shit anymore. I can't react to anything, man. I wasted 3 minutes just doing absolutely nothing. I'm sorry. Let's get to the video, boys. My apologies. Yo, I've been playing Dragon Ball Legends lately, bro. Thank God I'm back in that shit. Thank God I know how to fucking play now, bro. Now niggas can't cheat. Now niggas can't like do some cheeky shit to me anymore. I got the power now, bitch. Fuck wrong, buddy. Stupid. Get smacked. Flatline. The whole shebang. Demi. Come on, let's go.
If your stepdaughter's imaginary friend suddenly started tormenting you, what would you do? Jessica
Oh, buddy, meet this shotgun. Let me stop, bro.
writes children's books for a living. Her family moves into her childhood home, where she
Just gotta clarify.
Jessica writes children's books for a living. Her family moves into her childhood home, where she quickly finds out just how many memories she's been repressing all along. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat Chauncey in Imaginary.
I'm sorry, we couldn't finish our game.
The movie starts out with a panicked woman, Jessica, running away from a voice, saying she's sorry she can't finish their game. She's bloody and clearly in some kind of mortal danger. We get jump scared by a man with a demonic voice that says her friend is never coming back, before morphing into some kind of man spider and chasing her into what appears to be some kind of underworld or void realm. She eventually makes it through one of the doors into what appears to be her bedroom before the spider monster attacks her and wakes her up from the nightmare. The fact that it appears to be the exact same setting of her bedroom, as well as her running through some kind of void realm, definitely felt suggestive. Let's introduce our characters properly, shall we? This lady is Jessica, a children's book writer who's married to Max, a musician with 2 children. Alice, the youngest, and teenager Taylor, the guy in her dream, was her now mentally ill father, Ben.
It's this apartment.
The spider monster is actually a character from one of her books, Simon, suggesting she's got quite a lot of baggage for her own creations to be attacking her in Dreamland. No hate, it happens to the best of us. The family moves into Jessica's childhood home, which had been left unoccupied for some time. Jessica seems to be happy with the arrangement altogether. There definitely appears to be a pretty messy backstory with the kids, though.
Grandma sounded nice. My mom is too, when she's not sick.
Alice and Taylor's mother is apparently quite mentally unstable. Max earlier already called out he's stressed out because of what he has to deal with. At the same time, it's also clearly visible that the kids are affected by it. Alice is just hurt and looking for a mother, essentially.
Want this to be your room, Alley Cat?
I'm thinking the big one at the end of the hall, without the creepy coloring book walls.
Taylor, being in that teenage rebellious phase, pretty much hates Jessica for coming into her life, as well as, well, everything. She's just at that age.
I'm a teenage girl. I'd rather be anywhere than here.
At least Max is aware of it, but they all just sort of brush it off as a byproduct to the changes in their collective lives, which is fair.
Where'd you find that?
They start going through some of the old stuff that's been left behind by their father, Ben. Jessica feels fine being back, even happy, clearly very invested in making this family arrangement work. Gotta say, I respect that. Step-parent gigs ain't easy.
You'll get the love back, just not how you'd expect.
Yeah, no kidding. That attitude-riddled teenager back there takes some serious effort to please. At least Alice seems like a genuinely well-behaved kid, and she even shows interest in spending time with Jessica.
Maybe you need a break. We could play a game instead.
While playing hide-and-seek, Jessica takes a work call like any overworked parent sometimes probably does, which winds up getting Alice baited down into the basement by a funny voice, which she thinks is Jessica putting on some kind of act. That's the danger in parenting. Drop your focus for even a moment, and kids go off doing stupid shit on their own, potentially endangering themselves. What's crazy about this to me is
Yeah, man, that's why I say don't get kids, bro. It's just gonna fuck you up. Physically, mentally, and financially. I'm just saying. But, that's not necessarily true, but it's true to a certain degree, I'm not gonna lie.
that this kid isn't terrified to go down there by herself. I mean, I remember being a kid and being absolutely terrified of the basement. Alice, on the other hand, pretty much just walks around down there like she owns the place. The only thing out of the ordinary here, except her fearlessness, is that she's clearly behaving like she's being instructed by someone on what to do. Otherwise, how does this just happen? She finds a bear sitting perfectly upright and seems to be talking to it, calling it Chauncey, and saying Jessica can be forgetful sometimes. It's implied here that she's hearing this bear talk to her, which, because of the amount of horror movies I've watched in my life, is the kind of thing that would immediately freak me out. However, kids have imaginary friends, or assign actions to inanimate objects all the time. More importantly, though, current generation parents are all thoroughly freaked out by this behavior, but it's actually healthy for kids to have imaginary friends. It aids their development and helps them practice in a way for real interactions. Alice takes a liking to it immediately, and even finds out it makes music. This kid has balls of steel. She's in a dark basement talking to a freaking teddy bear by herself. Even as the parent, stumbling upon that would freak me out to some extent. Maybe this job is just taking a toll on me after all.
I'm hungry too.
What? Okay, the implication that this bear called out to Alice, gave her instructions on how to reach him, and is now telling her he's hungry, apparently, doesn't really feel like a coincidence anymore. I mean, call me paranoid all you want, but if a wind-up toy started telling me it was hungry, I'd probably just burn it. Oh, it's programmed to say it's hungry. Whatever, still burning it. Sorry, Toys R Us. Blumhouse played the marketing game just a little bit better. As Alice makes it back out the basement, we see the drawings on the door from Jessica's nightmare. Ooh, that doesn't bode well for the pro tags. Speaking of Jessica, she comes back from her work call and looks for Alice. She finds her in her room and apologizes for disappearing when she says,
I found someone else to play with.
now, Jessica pretty much thinks this is because Alice got mad, but we're talking about a toddler here, who up until like 5 minutes ago was super eager to play with you. Why are you giving up so easily? How about I'll join you and your new friend?
Taylor's only 15.
Between this and blocking Taylor, she's not exactly winning any hearts and minds out here. Later that night, she's playing hide and seek with Max and Alice, who claims Chauncey is the one doing the seeking. A little weird, especially once Jessica actually hears something moving, but still, nothing flat out alarming. The next morning, Alice is reading to Chauncey. Totally normal still. Yep, totally normal. Just as she thinks that this imaginary friend thing is actually helping her with her next book, Alice shows up with a list of items she's collecting for Chauncey in a scavenger hunt. Okay, that's kind of on the weirder side now. I'd definitely go through that list immediately right here and now, especially when she's told that Chauncey doesn't want her to know, because it's top secret. This sounds like a predator if I've ever heard one. It's not like I can totally blame her for going along and providing her with something happy, but you can't tell me that's not weird. Late at night, she hears the bouncy ball she gave to Alice with a smiley on it being bounced off the walls in the basement. She, of course, goes to check it out and sees this. Now that's alarming. Clearly she doesn't think so though, as she follows this freaking ball as it magically throws itself off the stairs. There, she finds this.
Wait, video, bro. Something starts moving on its own, bro. Oh man, I'm going so fast. I was on TikTok one day and I saw it was called prank, something a page called Prank USA. People getting pranked, and there were things just moving on their own. And I'm saying like that would scare the absolute shit out of me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm running away so fast, not even funny. You're never gonna see me. You're dead. Damn, sure ain't gonna catch me. The fuck wrong with buddy?
Ball leading her to a box of stuff labeled Jessica age 5. Inside are mostly drawings, including one with the writing "Never Ever" written on it, depicting a door. I just can't really understand how she doesn't question any of this, especially since Alice wasn't down there bouncing the ball around, and it had a sad face drawn on it now, as opposed to a happy one. She walks upstairs to where she hears some very strange conversation between Alice and her imaginary friend, except when she approaches, she hears someone respond.
Thank you.
And then even sees someone. This is not imaginary, clearly, and it gets worse.
He's right behind you.
Oh, hell no. She goes to turn around when someone was clearly in that room a moment ago, and this happens. Now, this one is a twofer in the worst way possible because of what happens right before she gets tackled by Methany. There's clearly actually something there, which, of course, Jessica never saw, though.
There's something here.
This woman turns out to be the girl's biological mother that Max is currently going through trauma with. She received information via text from Taylor, which she wasn't supposed to divulge.
She's my ex-wife.
Dad, I'm so sorry.
Okay, so with an unstable woman who always says this kind of weird psycho stuff, you'd be right not to believe her ranting. However, the whole "he's right behind you" is superbly creepy. I don't for 1 second believe that was about giving her bio mom a chance to attack Jessica, since Alice seems to like her. Plus we, the viewer, actually see the monster behind her. I think after her encounter in the basement, she'd at least be wise to ask some questions such as, what happened to the bouncy ball? And who was standing behind me? And how do you know? And you'd probably be told the answer to both is Chauncey, right here and now. You'd probably be too naive to act on those.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. I think it's because I put it on 480, but am I as crazy or is she just like scarier than anything she's fucking saying right now? I could be wrong though. And it's probably my shitty ass quiet, so forgive me.
hunches, but still.
Chauncey loves Alice.
Later in their room, via the vent from earlier, Jessica hears a weird voice. She brushes it off as Alice voicing Chauncey. While we see the bear moving on its own, as well as that Alice is not voicing Chauncey here. Well, let's hope Jessica doesn't take too long to figure this one out. The The next morning, Jessica's painting in the yard when Alice shows up asking for another paintbrush for the scavenger hunt before ticking another item off the list. On the list, we see something happy, something that burns, a bowl, a paintbrush, a lock of hair. She ticks the item off right in front of her, and Jessica doesn't even respond. Dude, how have you not checked that list yet? Something happy in a paintbrush isn't the weirdest thing, but the instant you saw these other items, you should know something is way wrong. This just looks like a Colt's Instacart order.
Have fun.
Instead, she tells her to have fun. I'm sure this'll be fine, but even if not thinking about the rituals of the occult, something that burns and a toddler just don't really mix well together.
Bye.
Meanwhile, Max leaves for a tour with his band, leaving Jessica alone with Alice and Taylor. If that's not the perfect recipe for disaster.
Jessica, I'm Gloria.
Just as Max leaves, an elderly neighbor introduces herself as Gloria. She seems to know who Jessica is, apparently having been her babysitter in the past. She tells Jessica how she was once basically the same as Alice, drawing for hours on end and spending time with her imaginary friend too. She says it sometimes seemed like there was someone really there. None of which Jessica seems to remember. We also get a vague hint as to something happening to her father, who otherwise was her biggest fan. As Max even said, the last time she was here was when she was 5, so all plausible that she doesn't remember any of this. In fact, pretty much anything before age 4 is a mental void for the vast amount of people. In some cases, even when there's not something seriously wrong in someone's childhood, the memories of anything before age 12 can be very basic or limited as well. Generally speaking though, this kind of thing is more often associated with someone having had heavy traumas in their past, which, judging by Gloria's whole "no child should ever have to go through that," could mean Jessica's repressing memories as well. They're interrupted by Alice and Taylor's attitudes, which calls Jessica to duty.
Jess, you gonna make Alice's lunch or am I gonna have to?
Oh my God.
Tell me.
I don't know what you think it's talking about. Oh my, yeah, I'm saying, oh. You know what I'm saying? Oh my god, bro. Like, yo, so like Shuddy or sorry, daughter. Whatever the fuck your name is, bro. Don't get kicked out today, okay? Talking crazy right there. You're in the crib. Don't get kicked out today. Fuck on your bitch ass. Talking about you gonna make it or I am. It's like this, right? You want to stay here or you wanna leave? You know what I'm saying? Like, play with me.
About it. Jessica goes to see her father at the assisted living facility he's in. He's basically mentally gone. Jessica doesn't quite get what went wrong and points out that they were once all happy. We even see that he has all of Jessica's books, so it's very unclear what actually happened to the guy, just that it was a sudden onset mental illness. She reads to him for a bit and tells him that she's going back to the house when he's suddenly there again.
Jess, that you?
He warns her to stay away from the house and that he looked into the eyes when he went to go get her back from the place that she went. All super cryptic, but he's clearly trying to tell her something's off about the house before going batshit crazy.
Daddy, what's CB, a radio?
Okay, this would definitely altogether now be a little too coincidental for me not to start feeling a bit weirded out. Not sure if I'd direct my energy to Alice and Chauncey just yet, but I'd definitely be more alert to it. Meanwhile, back at the house, Alice is collecting bugs for Chauncey. Taylor even wakes up during all of this, and she says Chauncey's purposely making her do that since she's scared of bugs, and that they're going away on a trip together if she does. Taylor somehow ignores that, like it isn't the weirdest thing ever. I honestly fault her for this just as much. Okay, maybe it's wrong of me to direct parental attributes onto a sibling, but certainly hearing your toddler sibling say something that just screams predatory behavior is still worth asking questions about. No, even if you don't suspect supernatural stuff. It sounds like there's a guy with a van full of candy trying to kidnap her.
Your babysitter's here.
Why is she ignoring all of this, you ask? Well, hormones. That's it. She wanted to invite Romeo over to fool around. The funny thing is that even though his blood is clearly not in his head, or his big one, even he sees that this stuff with Alice is just weird.
Those are for Chauncey! Doing my scavenger hunt, so Chauncey will take me where he takes all his friends. Don't touch my stuff again. Ever. Psycho.
Exactly. That is all just super weird. How Taylor doesn't find this alarming, particularly that it came out of nowhere, is also super weird to me.
How about or something?
Taylor obviously still feels kind of weird about it all though, and Liam's obviously bored and tripping balls. He then decides his current acid-fueled trip needs some alcohol added to it for maximum efficacy, and immediately drops the frickin' bottle. Taylor sends her upstairs for towels, not knowing that Chauncey didn't take that earlier talk too well.
Liam,
I
bro.
know. I don't like him either.
Upstairs, Liam's baited into Alice's bedroom by a light-up toy playing music, because obviously, he's tripping on acid, so super freaking easy to manipulate now. He's going to the bathroom when he sees literal bait being dangled in front of him, and highly fixates on the string running up to a teddy bear covered under a towel. He's tripping, literally, so he likely doesn't know if this is real or not, but Chauncey straight up plays with them, and he keeps following the trail. I don't even feel bad for him, honestly, though he's probably gonna chalk this down to the narcotics, which does sort of track, until this happens. Be happy it was just playing, dude.
No, Taylor. What are you doing?
Jessica, unknowingly this time, blocks Taylor once more, and even involves Liam's mom.
This isn't Molly. This is my allergy medicine.
Nothing like a good old Benadryl.
Man, bro went like, dork ass nigga, bro. What the fuck? Oh my god, it's just hilarious.
Trip, right, Liam? However, this does totally call into question the situation with the teddy bear now, especially when Alice taunts him too. Jessica's obviously not too happy about having to deal with all of this, but Taylor blames her, like she wasn't the one who hung out with that goofball trying to get baked off frickin' allergy meds.
I am really trying to trust you.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you hadn't left at all, she'd have no secret boy toy fun. Now she's gotten some, but wasn't satisfied due to the guy being a clown. This is just such dumb teenager drama. The problem with this happening simultaneously as the whole Alice Chauncey thing is that it creates a perfect diversion for Chauncey to operate his sinister plot without arousing suspicion. Which is exactly how Chauncey can manipulate Alice into doing things like destroying Jessica's art right under their noses. The fact that Chauncey is making Alice act out against authority figures should really be noticeable by now. Jessica finally finds the weird scavenger hunt list from hell and has a whole emotional conversation with Alice until she realizes Alice isn't actually there and that the scavenger hunt list from hell has a backside too. Realizing Alice is in danger, she manages to stop herself from impaling her hand on a nail just in time. She doesn't dig any deeper into the weirdo list or Chauncey, and instead does what, to be fair, is the reasonable thing to do. Have an expert on mental health check out her stepdaughter.
There are so many things outside of Alice's control right now. So good to see you again, Alice. He asked you to do something that hurt you, right?
Chauncey said it was part of the game.
Maybe you should tell Chauncey how he made you feel.
The therapist basically tells Alice that friends don't make friends hurt themselves, and gets her to stand up for herself, which goes horribly wrong.
I told you it made me scared. Chauncey, keep Alice safe. Stupid doctor say anything to Alice, Mom. I hurt you and your 3 ugly granddaughters.
Chauncey basically uses Alice's voice to speak, since her mouth at one point isn't moving when we hear the Chauncey side of this conversation. It's generally pretty mean about how nobody loves her, and how Jessica always leaves, along with some threats to Jessica and a super personal anecdote about how he's gonna hurt the therapist's grandkids, which is info that nobody here could reasonably have. Okay, that's definitely something supernatural here as far as I'm concerned, and the therapist agrees by the sound of it.
Has Sally's taken up any new hobbies lately? The Trinoco is a patient I encountered over 10 years ago.
She shows Jessica footage of a similar case in her past, explaining this never ever is pretty much bad news all around, and that these kids always ended up vanishing, which Jess remembers from her own childhood drawing from earlier. She goes to retrieve the box of drawings.
Did Alice draw that?
Dr. Soto and Jessica pretty much conclude that the stories are super similar, and that while she can't remember exactly what went wrong, it's bad news. Thank you. God, I'm glad she doesn't need to be jump scared a million times in order to believe that something might be wrong. She decides it's time to burn Mr. Chauncey. Gotta say, I like the sound of that.
You gotta destroy that bear.
What bear?
Soto shows Jessica the footage of the session, which brings us a twist. Nobody can see the bear besides the two of them. Even Taylor says that she never saw it.
You've seen the stuffed bear, right?
What? No.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, you're the only one that can see your demons, bro. I think it's all up here, shorty. Talking about now you questioning everyone on what they've seen and what they haven't seen, and now they say they haven't seen it. Cooked. Hey, the man, ain't too late to go to the mental hospital, Both that get help, start taking some Adderall for your little mental clarity and shit like that. I'm playing, you know.
Father Doug's needed once again. We better start paying him overtime for being on call for the channel.
Psycho motherfucker. Read the scripts.
So here's what I'm thinking. The Never Ever just sounds like hell, or something similar to the place with all the lights in it. Basically, just the no-no zone you're highly unlikely to come back from. The scavenger hunt just sounds like a ritual that needs to be performed by the naive victim to allow passage there, where Chauncey takes hold of your soul forever. I'm guessing that explains Ben's current condition, and his words from earlier as well. Dude went back for Jessica and somehow lost his mind in the process trying to save her. Unfortunately, before they can actually do anything about the situation, Chauncey decides he's gonna make his move right now, because Jess still needs more confirmation. He basically forces Alice down to the basement and refuses to take no for an answer.
I didn't want to be your friend.
While all this is going on, Jessica is confirming what is glaringly obvious by now. Because of this, they're now way too late to realize that Chauncey's already made his move. Alice has plenty of time to finish the ritual before they get wise.
Alice!
When they finally find the last place that she was, they're already too late. Even though this is about as clear as can be, they still waste time calling the cops and having them do a search. I understand wanting to cover all bases, but you have so many reasons now to believe that she's being sent to another realm, rather than this being a straightforward kidnapping or runaway case. Other than that, she arrives at the conclusion pretty fast overall, but makes this mistake.
This is gonna sound out there, but I think that my childhood imaginary friend and Alice's are the same. Listen, I know
my
it sounds
sister's missing, and she didn't disappear.
Come on, Jessica. Why are you wasting your time like this? You know she won't believe you, doesn't like you, and that as far as she's concerned, it's your fault no matter what. Get to work on the list yourself, and if she joins in later, great. If not, also fine. It's more than likely some kind of ritual, which by the sounds of these nearly identical stories, takes you to the never ever. Your father alluded to it being possible, as you rightly call out, to go in there and get people out as well.
Oh wait, I didn't mean to scare you.
Fortunately, turns out that Gloria knows more about this than we initially expected, and convinces Taylor for us. Okay, well, that does change things. If she knows what we can and cannot do to improve our odds on the other side, then we'll not only want her on our team, we want to know everything that's important before we go in at all.
I wanted to say something when Jessica first moved back here, but it was clear she didn't remember. Maybe she didn't want to.
Here's where weird stuff just happens to drag out the plot with zero benefit to the pro tags, because you kind of lost me with this decision. So Gloria takes Taylor to her house to talk about all this stuff, instead of just going straight to Jessica with Taylor to talk to them together.
Bing Bong is real.
Like I said earlier, that is a lot of time wasted trying to convince someone who will automatically believe you once you walk through a frickin' portal to another dimension. For all you know, Alice's soul's already past the point of no return because of all this.
The trauma.
I can't stand who say, if a tree didn't fall in the woods, did it fall in a hole? Or whatever the fuck the saying that is. Seeing is believing, bro. I'm sorry. Moral of the fucking story, seeing is believing, bro.
Cause the entity to hunger for the child's imagination.
The illustrations Gloria shows Taylor are nice and all, and they do provide information. What I don't get is why, seeing as she straight up tells Taylor she's devoted her life to understanding this, she doesn't just bolt it straight to Jessica, gives them all a short rundown of the key things, has them do the ritual immediately, and ask questions another time. Again, they'll all believe you no matter what once they see the portal appear. You know Jessica's not going to take much more convincing already as it is. They reunite with Jessica to try to piece together the components of the list. Cool, but why doesn't Gloria just tell them, since she clearly knows them all by heart?
The last few items were something that scares you.
It's like part of the final grade comes from them finding their own conclusions or some Not like you've got a vulnerable toddler being held hostage by a demon or anything. Oh, and CB apparently means Chauncey Bear, which is what Ben was rambling on about earlier. Right, so that confirms the obvious here. There was something horribly wrong with Jessica after her mom died when she was 5. She was baited into a weird codependency by an entity which preyed on her sadness and wanted to take her away someplace secret. She eventually went into the Never Ever, which I guess Ben found out about somehow and went in to retrieve her from. That is where he went insane, causing Jessica to have to move to her grandparents and grow up an orphan essentially. Wow, Chauncey's a dick. I've got one more problem with this scene though, and that's the obvious. There's a million different pieces of evidence being thrown around here that suggest that Chauncey is super dangerous. Gloria is supposed to be some kind of devoted expert on this topic too. So, why are we about to walk into another dimension inhabited by an evil spirit empty-handed? We should be armed, provided it's an actual physical doorway of some sort. It may even be worth just taking a Glock 19 with us and seeing if this entity likes lead.
Nah, one thing I learned, bro, that's like if it is real and not in your head, bro, the clarification or the make sureness of that is real, because I've seen in movies, bro, people think they're going through something like through portals, touching things, they're being attacked by things, come back into reality where they've killed 15 people with an AR-37. Next thing you know, they go to jail, prison, all that bullshit, and the real thing or whatever it's in their head goes crazy as a field day. But yeah, man, some of these movies are like, I'm noticing some of these movies are mind fucks, low key.
Alternatively, in a more spiritual theme, like holy water, a blessed crucifix, maybe doing some kind of protection ritual before going in. I mean, there's just seriously zero preparation here. What's nuts is that Gloria spent more time explaining what this thing is than actually devising some kind of strategy where they're protected from it. All those years studying what these things are, and you've got nothing for us in terms of how to beat this thing? Seems to me like your life's work was a gigantic waste of time then. Whatever. They eventually get to work on the list and collect all the items, before Jessica stabs herself through the hand with a pair of scissors to tick off the hurting portion of the list. The only semblance of a plan here is that Gloria and Jess want to go in while Taylor stays behind as backup in case they can't get out. Not necessarily terrible, since if something does happen to them, she can potentially get someone else to help her do this ritual, like that allergy pill-popping weirdo from next door. Basically, she can get us reinforcements, though not knowing what they're up against, I can't value their odds of success as very optimistic.
Remember what you felt like when you were that kid, wanting a new friend.
We go through with the ritual with Jessica being forced to feel the same way she did when she was a child, abandoned, alone, invisible to all those around her. It feels familiar.
Let the hate flow through you.
There's some drafty air, but clearly nothing else. This causes Jess to finally blow up on Taylor when she's talking
Why do I always have to fix your mistakes? You're selfish, Taylor.
This somehow causes the ritual to finally work.
I love it, man. I love it, man. The bastard ass bitch gets to get her little run, but guess what? We're not gonna let you slide. You're getting shitted on today. Fuck around with you, buddy.
Since the entity needed more pain.
Hurt you more to say it.
Yeah, of course. I did it to give the ritual more pain. No other reason. Anyway, portal now open. They venture into the Never Ever. Nerds, can I just call this the Void from now on instead? I'm just getting a mini aneurysm every time I have to hear Never Ever.
Taylor, get out!
Just as they're about to venture into the void, the door behind them shuts, forcing Taylor into it with them. That is why I said she should not be in the basement at all. Now, it's an all or nothing mission. Once inside, it looks like some evil, trippy version of the staircases in Harry Potter's Hogwarts. Okay. They managed to block the door they came in from closing, but now Taylor doesn't want to leave. What? If you can actually reopen that door, one of you should 100% go back for that backup function I mentioned earlier. You have proof, in the form of your father, Jessica, suggesting bad things can happen to you here. Whatever. The power of love and friendship once more, I guess. Gloria takes that a little too seriously, though.
Kingdom of our imagination that can be whatever we want it to be!
His imagination land!
So happy for you.
Yeah, because it's not like evil entities call this place home. I guess the older generation really does look at everything as real estate.
It's free real estate.
In the void, Jess eventually looks through a literal window to the past, where we see her as a kid going through some similarly weird with Chauncey. We also see Ben fighting off Chauncey, and how he turned out the way he currently is. He locked eyes with Chauncey, causing him to go insane once he stepped in to save his daughter, and used his final of clarity to cover up the door to the void.
Where did Gloria go?
Just as the guilt sets in on Jess, Gloria decides to go for a grand villain reveal. She was in on it all along. Turns out, she too felt neglected and given up on when Jess was taken away from her, just like the entity. So she's been herding them into the void, and that's why she just closed the door back to the real world as well. Basically, Chauncey convinced her that she'd get everything she wants if she helps him, and she somehow, in spite of supposedly having deeply studied this thing and what it's all about, believed it to be an honest business partner to make such an arrangement with. And that's why this happens. Good riddance. How stupid could you be to trust this thing?
Alice?
Taylor gets baited away by an apparition of Alice, which separates the two. See, this is why I suggested going over some more strategizing. Even just basic like, you might see things that aren't really there, or stay together no matter what happens. Would have been obvious things to work out beforehand. I guess you can't blame her for being psyoped, though. Taylor gets baited into an evil version of Alice's bedroom with an enormous portrait of a stuffed bear on the wall. She's creeped out, but doesn't realize how much of a clue that is to what's going on here. Remember the whole "you didn't see the stuffed bear" thing, Taylor?
I've been here too long.
Chauncey quickly makes it obvious that he's coming. A weird, maybe too obvious play here is simply to imagine something to protect yourself with, like Jesus with an M60. I mean, Gloria gave us the whole imagination land speech, and it's clear that in this world, we can create whatever we want and think it into existence. More importantly, it's implied that these creations can then interact with the physical world of this dimension. So, like,
Imagine an M60 for Jesus!
yeah, Taylor instead stupidly thinks that cutting off her only source of light is enough to stop this thing's influence on its home turf. Fortunately, elsewhere in the void, Jessica did immediately figure out what this enormous portrait might be, saving Taylor just as she gets pounced on by Demon Alice once again.
I have my new room in my old apartment.
They find Alice's hideout, which is an old memory version of the apartment they lived in before Jessica came into the picture. Worse yet, Alice likes it there because she can imagine whatever she wants into being, including her biological mother as a well-adjusted adult. Okay, so for sure, imaginary things interact physically with the world. Judging by what we can see here, the imaginary firearm play may actually not be that dumb after all. Purely by how hard these things are trying to get them to stay, you should know something doesn't track here, and that this mom is on Chauncey's side. But it ultimately boils down to who can appease the toddler the most for some reason.
I told you she'd try and spoil it.
We can use it to make something new.
Don't mind them, sweetie.
This is by far the dumbest showdown with the final villain I've seen to date. Using every toddler's top one fantasy, permitted destruction, Imagination Mom eventually loses. Apparently, all it takes to get a toddler to give up on everything you could possibly imagine, literally, is them being allowed to fuck up a wall. That's a pro-parenting tip right there, folks. The 200 IQ move here was that Jessica actually did all this to perform the ritual from before, right under all of their noses. The bouncy ball, the thing she smeared on the wall, all recreating that same ritual. Unfortunately, that's when Chauncey confirms my earlier theory, revealing himself as their bio mom, saying Jessica can't have her, before Taylor just
Nah, though, but what's the mom's number, though, bitch? She low-key looks good, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not fiending, but, I'm fiending. I ain't get played in a long time. Ever. It's a cold word. I'm playing.
shoves her back. That was easy. Or not.
No!
Jessica rushes the kids through the portal before preparing to make the same sacrifice Ben did for them. She starts sinking into the floor, causing her to fall and break her ankle. Now limping through the void, with Chauncey hot on her tail, she tries to go for the earlier closed door, which is conveniently still active, if she could pry it open, and makes it through with seconds to spare. Then they just sort of leave the door closed and decide to call it a day? That just seems overly optimistic. I mean, you clearly saw from the past memory thing that Ben had to basically give everything to close that thing and to keep it closed. More importantly, that didn't in any way prevent Chauncey from still influencing Alice there later on. At the very least, go down to Home Depot and just bury your entire basement in cement or something.
I've loved you all along.
We cut over to Jessica and the family reading to Ben in his assisted living facility, except...
Bro, how expensive would that be, bro? To cement your entire basement, how expensive would that be? Like, I don't know, bro. That seems crazy. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Off. These kids are nice, obedient even. There's no attitude or backhanded comments. Taylor's admitting she was wrong. Jessica immediately knows something's up and checks Alice's arms for the scar from earlier, and her suspicions confirmed immediately. This is basically Chauncey's way of getting payback for her escaping the first time. More so, this thing was apparently all an elaborate ruse. Chauncey manipulated Gloria into helping influence things so that she would end up moving back. He even planned to use Alice as a way to bait Jessica back to him all along. Alice was never the mark. So Chauncey basically reverse Chris Hansen'd all over this 5-year-old. So hard that he decided he wanted to ruin her entire adult life over it too. Not like orphaning her isn't bad enough or anything. Jesus, man. No wonder you live in a place so dark.
You'll come back for Taylor. This is how you save them.
Chauncey threatens Jess and says Taylor and Alice will be targeted if she doesn't stay voluntarily. Just as she's about to accept becoming Chauncey's little toy for all of eternity, Taylor comes through with a clutch hockey stick to the cranial of, well, herself, before rescuing Jessica. Chauncey's true form is finally shown to them, in the form similar to Simon the Spider from her books. I sense great therapy in your future, Jessica. Okay, so now with confirmation that basic objects can hurt this thing, and confirmation that imaginary objects interact with them realistically in this world, why don't we just imagine a Navy SEAL mag dumping into Chauncey? Especially seeing as Chauncey even tells Jess her imagination is stronger, or whatever. They don't arrive at this conclusion though and just keep running instead. This time, when they make it through the door, Jessica immediately realizes closing it alone isn't enough, trying to paint over it just like Ben did, before Chauncey tries one last time to pull her back to the playhouse. No, you literally saw this exact same thing not work once before, Jessica.
Destroyed.
Chauncey tries to hypnotize her, despite Taylor repeating, "Don't look into its eyes," as she still looks into its eyes. Even Taylor, who made the call out, looks into its eyes. You could just as easily pull Jess back with one hand covering her eyes without opening your own. In any case, it's all good, as Alice finally comes to the realization she was meant to come to. It's not about demon stuffed animals, it's about the friends we make along the way. She ignites a trail of paint leading to Chauncey, doing him in for good, and setting the house on fire. Whatever, at least the thing's gone. It's not like anyone probably wanted to live there anymore anyways. They watch Jess's childhood home go up in flames, satisfied with the outcome. Later in a hotel lobby, they're about to check in after having received medical attention. Alice notices a bear that looks eerily similar to Chauncey. This time all three of them see it, and finally we see what the Blumhouse effect is all about.
Should we try the next hotel?
Great idea.
As they walk away, we hear the kid with the bear say very similar things as Alice to his mother.
He's not imaginary.
The movie ends. Of our original characters, only Gloria has died. We could argue Ben State isn't exactly living either, though. Ben came to be this way saving his little girl. Gloria died purely because she tried to sell out to the dark side, meaning she totally deserved what was coming to her. I do think, judging by the fact that Taylor was able to subdue Chauncey with nothing but a hockey stick, that my tip on arming up before they initially went in would have made things incredibly easy. 1 9mm for Chauncey and 1 for Gloria when she opened up about helping the freak. It also would have prevented the need for burning down the house. Jessica, Taylor, and Alice all survived, albeit with a whole lot of trauma, and will likely struggle to ever properly explain this to Max, who was the luckiest of us all, having missed this show altogether. For these reasons, I think Imaginary was beaten. Moral of the story, burn your kids' toys if they ever get creepy with them.